Morning, it's Lara, this is Pucci Upholstery. Spend the day in the workroom with me as I reupholster this drop-in footstool. I will show you start to finish. I'm going to do it as a bit of a tutorial because something like this is a great project to start out with if you're thinking of learning upholstery. So this is going to be going in quite a similar fabric. The cover at the moment is just a bit scuffed. I don't have a drill here, so I'm going to just have to do this by hand. Okay, so you need to unscrew these. And then that should just come out like that. And we are left with just the pad bit. So I'm going to strip this now. The tools that you need for stripping a staple lifter and pincers or wire cutters. I prefer using wire cutters for stripping because you can really get close to the staples. And I can also just, once you've removed a few, you can start to rip it. Now this looks like it was actually originally made, really good quality. That webbing still looks intact. They've put hessian on between the webbing and the foam under here, which is good because if it doesn't have hessian in between the webbing, it causes the webbing and the foam to rub, and then the foam disintegrates faster. So just by adding a simple layer of hessian over your webbing just increases the longevity of your furniture, so it's obviously been made well, hence why the padding is all still intact. You don't need to get absolutely every single staple out when you're stripping furniture. So I'm just stripping the top fabric off. I'm going to leave the calico on. You can also use your staple lifter to go under the staple and lift it out that way. I'm going to keep the calico and the foam as is. I'm just going to add a layer of, this is called polywadding. Normally I would staple my polywadding onto the bottom, but because this is such a tight squeeze, I'm going to cut my polywadding so that it just covers the top. Now you don't want to be using your best scissors, it will blunt them quicker. So I'm just cutting around. So that will just sit on the top like that. It is sitting on top, but it is not coming around the sides because that is what is fitting into our footstool frame, but I still want it to have a nice cushioned layer. So only our fabric is coming around the sides for this. So now it's time to cut our fabric. The fabric is going to be running from top to bottom this way, top to bottom. I wrap it all the way around. I allow myself enough that I can pull, so I'm going to cut my fabric 22 inches tall and 28 inches wide. Fabric that we are using is a lovely Mankin cotton ticking stripe, and this is in the colour cream. Match those up. I don't need to do a line there because I'm just going to follow this straight. These are my sharp scissors, which I only use for top fabric because that's how you keep them sharp. Fold it in half and make a notch on the centre fold, top and bottom, and on the footstool mark the middle. So now I know that my central notch will line up with that line and this line, and my fabric will be running straight. So place your fabric on, flip everything over, and you're going to try and line up your central notches. and that is where we're going to do our first 2 temporary staples. A permanent staple, you would have your gun flush against the wood. A temporary staple, you are angling your gun so that when your staple comes out at an angle. And then I'm going to give it a nice pull and put another temporary staple in. We're going to give it a good pull on both sides. Our fabric is temporarily secured, top, bottom, side and side. I'm now going to do the rest of my temporary staples in a star formation. So I'm going to have another one at the top on the side and another one on the top on the other side. Then again the bottom, side and side, and then the sides, side and side. Pull, smooth my fabric up and out. So you're not pulling down, you're pulling down and to the side, giving it a really nice pull. Now on the other side, smooth, and now the bottom, pull it, smooth it, pull, pull, smooth and staple. And now it is temporaried, it needs to be nice and tight. So once you are happy that everything is the right tension, your lines are all looking straight, then you can start to staple it properly. I'm going to undo my temporary tack. I'm going to re-pull it even tighter and staple it down. When I'm pulling with my whole hand. So rather than pulling with your finger like that, which you're just pulling this one section, by pulling with your whole hand like this, you're able to pull a lot more of the fabric and staple. Every time I pull, I am smoothing my fabric. And now I'm going to do this top. Now I don't want to come too close to my corners because I'm going to pleat them eventually. So I'm going to stop a few inches away from the end. Undo my middle temporary staple. Give it a good pull and staple down. Then I'm going to move across, give it a smooth it over and staple. Smooth, pull and staple. Other side. Smooth this way now. So you're always smoothing it up and out. And that's all looking really nice and tight. You can't pinch your fabric, it's all looking good. So now on my side one, same again. Undo the middle, give it another pull and staple and staple. You want it to eventually feel like you can't pinch your fabric in any way. It does need to be fairly tight. Now when you get to your corners, you've got two options. You can do a double pleat, which will have two small pleats on each side, or you can have a slightly larger single pleat, which will just have one pleat there. It's not a sharp corner, it's a slightly roundy one, so I'm going to go for the double pleat. I'm going to get a good pull right in the middle and put a staple in. I've got the same amount of fabric on each side. Remove my temporary staples from the sides and make a pleat. I then want to cut away some of this excess, leaving about half an inch or so to fold over so that it doesn't fray. I'm going to cut straight down to my staple and then cut along my staple. That has allowed me enough to fold over so that this doesn't come undone and fray, but there is not another layer of fabric underneath there to make it bulky. So I've cut one half away, pull down, smooth again, and staple. And I can now finish off this little line. Cut away past these staples, and now same again on this corner. I'm going to remove this temporary staple, see where my pleat's going to fall, make a crease so that I know where not to cut past, and I'm going to now cut away this whole square of fabric which would otherwise cause bulk in our corners. So leaving half an inch or so to fold over, not cutting into the crease, and cutting away all of that fabric. So we've now freed up all of that fabric and reduced the bulk. And then fill in this section here. So that corner, cut away that fabric. So now that that's all on, I'm going to put a bottom cloth on, and that is to just stop dust from going in, and it finishes it off nicely. So that is just going on the bottom, so I'm just going to cut a piece slightly bigger than my footstool so that I can fold over the edges and make it look really neat. Pretty much with everything, I start in a star formation. Now this I'm not going to temporary staple, I'm just going to go straight in with my permanent staple. I'm going to do one in the middle at the top, one in the middle at the bottom, and this is being pulled quite tight because else it will sag. So one in the middle, one in the middle at the side, and another in the middle at the side. Just try and space them fairly neatly, and you can also colour these in black if you really want to, and you can also buy black staples, but I don't, to be honest, because it won't be seen. Okay, so that is all finished now. Let's see how it fits in the footstool. Beautiful. So you would then need to screw it on, but I think I'm going to paint the frame, so I'll do that and then screw it in once it's painted. But you can see here how lovely and fresh it now looks. So that's all done, and that is a great basic project to start out with upholstery. It's quick, it doesn't take too many tools. If you don't have a pneumatic stapler, you can definitely use a handheld for something like this, or an electric one if you've got, or you could even use tacks if you want to go old school. You can use tacks and a hammer. Yeah, it's a great way to learn tension, stripping, lining up your pattern, it's corners. It's a great way to learn how to do lots of key upholstery skills on something not too big and scary. I hope you managed to do a project like this too, and I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something from it. Thanks for watching.